What's going on, guys? It's Jay, aka It's Ghost Story, back with another Phantom Parade video today with a unexpected double upload. So this topic has recently been nagging in the back of my head, and I have just no choice but to talk about it. And I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, but we're going to swap from the usual Phantom Parade gameplay, and we're going to alt-tab straight into the fact that we're talking about the new 0.2 second domain GOJO. Now, first things first, everybody, and I mean everybody that I could see that played this game was so tremendously hyped for this unit, and I have never seen people turn so quickly on a unit. It's actually kind of insane. So, first things first, what are my general thoughts of the unit? And as you can see from the thumbnail, he might, I wouldn't say he's 100% skip worthy, but he's not exactly the unit that everybody was expecting him to be. Now, because he's the end of the year unit, everybody just kind of automatically assumed like, oh man, this Sukuna is going to be just like, you know, Blue Sukuna, where he drops and the meta just implodes immediately. And we learned very quickly that is not the case whatsoever. In fact, this GOJO kind of appeals to the meta in a sense. And in fact, a lot of people are emphasizing that they're tired of the emergency mechanic. They're tired of their GOJOs leaving the battlefield for whichever reason. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, because the GOJOs in the game that currently stand the test of time in terms of the meta are the team GOJOs, the ones that don't leave the battlefield. I believe the emergency system is kind of outdated, especially due to how content is being treated recently. Very difficult content, at least. Like, these guys are just totally, I wouldn't say totally aged out. They serve their purpose, but just not in the hardest difficulty, you know, content in the game. So it makes you think, what about this GOJO that, you know, the Phantom Parade wiki don't really have his art up, but what about this GOJO is so bad? Because he has the attacker role, but it's just not as impressive as you would think. So we're going to look at all his skills at skill level 10, because that is just the strongest it would be. And at lowest, we would look at it skill level 8, because 8 is the max you can use for skill 1 through 3 without having to spend a chaotic Jujutsu crystal. And then for his ultimate, it's obviously 7, and then you have to spend like a ton of chaotic Jujutsu crystals to get it to 10. So we kind of have this little situation where we're looking at his skill 1. His skill 1 at level 10, we're just going to look at it at level 10. So deals 500% melee taijutsu damage to selected enemy, 4 hits. Increases selected enemy's break damage received by 150%. Deals an additional 300% melee taijutsu damage to the selected enemy. Adds a 50% crit rate for the first 1 through 4 hits, and then a 100% crit on the 5th hit. Increased critical damage by 50%, you know, black flash rate 20%, black flash damage 1.5%. You guys get the whole 9 yard. Now, what I've seen with this GOJO is that he does pop a lot of damage. I've seen his skill 1 do like 7.5 million, and that's very, very impressive. But that's the issue. It's the skill 1 that people are prioritizing. You rarely see people talk about the skill 2, which he buffs himself for 5 turns, but he also has that 550% melee taijutsu to all enemies, so it's an AoE skill, but it's not as useful as the first skill, because you're attacking 5 times with the first skill. You have a higher likelihood to at least pop Black Flash. Actually, not even a higher likelihood. You can't hit Black Flash using this skill. So outside of just maybe buffing yourself for 1 turn, Why would you use skill 2 when you're going to buff yourself anyway when you inevitably hit back-to-back black flashes on this unit? It just doesn't make sense to invest in the skill 2 that much. But then you have skill 3, and I believe skill 3 is probably one of the better skills that he has outside of skill 2. I mean, not outside of skill 2, but skill 1, basically. Skill 3, it's increases enemies' break damage received, and that's actually really, really good. In fact, it kind of falls into another unit that benefits when a boss is broken or an enemy is broken. It plays into Blue Yuta, the unit who I think is better than this GOJO, because he just has everything, not really everything that GOJO does, but better. But he has a similar game plan of just hashing out a ton of damage. But the issue with this GOJO is that you kind of have a skill where you're probably not going to use it at all, for the most part. You have a skill 1 as your main form of damage, and you have your skill 3, which you're going to use, you know, every once in a while. I mean, it's good for 5 turns, and it can't be stacked. Why would they do that? Why would they make it so the skill can't be stacked? You know? It's kind of hilarious because you have these people that I've seen. They skipped Yuta, they skipped Yuji, they skipped Todo, they skipped Sukuna. They're planning on skipping Mahito. And then this GOJO comes out because everybody was like, oh, but 0.2 GOJO will come out at some point. And they created this mythological unit in their head. And now that this GOJO doesn't look as amazing as it did in their head, now people are panicking, because I've seen plenty of people like, oh my gosh, I was saving for 0.2 domain GOJO, but I didn't realize he'll be like this, so I skipped like Yuta. And if you skipped Yuta for this GOJO without knowing what his kit looks like, I'm sorry, but for the future, please, I am begging you guys, don't put in all of your stocks on a hypothetical. That is like the worst thing you can do. When it comes to gacha games, it's very random on who can be the strongest or who can be the best unit. Because when it comes to Phantom Parade, at least, you know, you'll see some pretty unorthodox units be strong. Like, for example, I mean, Kamo wasn't that great when he first came out, but that SP unlock made him a beast, and he's Kamo. He's not like a super popular unit whatsoever. Same way how like Mai is an amazing unit, but Mai's not a super popular character. It's just people presupposed just because it's a GOJO, he's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But it's not the case. And that's just something you have to accept. I feel like this plays back into my previous video when I was talking with using Todo on the Limited Tower Floor 1, where I feel like it's baby's first gacha. It is 100% baby's first gacha, where you have these set expectations because it's a character, and this character has had other cracked characters before in the past. That means his future iteration must also be cracked. Therefore, skip all the other units that come out. Don't do that. This is a quick way to potentially brick your account. Like, yes, you could have a future GOJO unit that comes out, you save up all these cubes, you don't know the kit, and the kit comes out, and it's phenomenal. But in this case, I'm not going to say it's mid. He's still a top 10 unit in the game. Don't get it twisted whatsoever. It's just not what everybody expected, and it's disappointing a lot of people. And also the fact he's a taijutsu unit. And you would be thinking, like, we would praise a blue taijutsu unit in this current blue economy, because the way blue is set up, it's just horrendous. But the issue with that is that all the blue taijutsu floors that we already have in the game has already been cleared with substantially weaker units. So what is the point of this unit's existence at the moment? No offense, but like, outside of just making pre-existing floors easier to a certain extent, what is the point? On top of the fact, his ultimate, the percentage is so low. It's 1,700%. Why is it weaker than Yuta, the unit who just came out previously? Why is it weaker than Hollow Purple? Hollow Purple at its max is 1,999, just like Red Yuta. The ultimate is, percentage-wise, weaker than Yuta's ult. And it blows my mind why they would release such a character with a huge, like, hype level behind it and not give him the most of the most. But at the same time, I'm almost kind of glad, because this is almost a humbling moment for everybody that kind of just, you know, ignored all the other anniversary units. Like, I'm just going to say for 0.2 GOJO, without even knowing what he was about. Like, I feel so bad for everybody that skipped this character because they thought 0.2 GOJO was going to usher in this new era of DPS, and it's not happening. It's not happening. 0.2 GOJO, I just don't see him being him. Where when Sukuna came out, at least for JP side, he was 100% the best DPS for over half a year. And the only reason why he started falling off is because Blue doesn't have support, for the most part, and his damage falters because of that. And then after that, when they release floor 80 to 90, no, 81 to 90, you can't even use this guy in the first place. They made it so if you do Laceration, the boss heals like 20 million HP per turn. So this guy quite literally had the game plotted against him. And that's why, another reason why I feel like this GOJO isn't as strong as what people wished it to be. Because I feel like the Phantom Parade devs, they overtune characters without realizing, or they make kits without assessing what content is like currently. It's almost like they don't play their own game. So when they release units like Sukuna, and then Sukuna is dog walking the entire game, they're like, gosh, what can we do to make difficult content remain difficult? Just ban the character outright from being used in the first place. Oh, genius idea, am I right? The same way how when this guy was here, you know, Anniversary GOJO, this Infinite Void, ridiculous. Debuff, stun, reduce boss ultimate. Like, enemies would lose attacks because of unlimited void status. What was their game plan? Oh yeah, make it so if you aren't mono team, you can't build ult. So if you're on a green stage and you bring a red, like the red GOJO, you can't build ultimate. You see how the game, like, they add these absolutely ridiculous kits and then they don't know how to deal with it besides just taking it away completely. And I'm not sure, again, I'm not like an insider guy from Sumtap, so I can't say that's 100% their design philosophy, but they make these units, they don't realize how ridiculous they are, and then they're forced to do away with them in some way. Like, I feel like these two are a prime example where it's just like they both have two ridiculous gimmicks and they had to strip it away somehow. Where this guy was also very strong, but Yuji doesn't have a ridiculous gimmick that makes him like, okay, we gotta get rid of him. Worthy. He's just really strong. Like, he's just a dumb strong unit. Like, if in fighting game terminology, he's an honest guy. You know, he's an honest fighter. So that's kind of like the same thing with Yuta. Like, Yuta doesn't have any super crazy things going on. He has, well, he does, but not in the way of like Sukuna has Laceration, GOJO has stun, takes away boss ult. This guy just has a lot of damage. A lot of damage. A lot of damage. And a counter. That's what this man has. And he has two states, Taijutsu and Jujutsu. Very basic. Nothing that you really have to like morph the game around. But this guy, it's kind of like the same boat. You don't have to morph anything around this guy whatsoever. He kind of just exists. And I mean, when you read his kit at a surface level, it looks great. Like, he increases his own taijutsu and jujutsu stat every turn. And then it builds up to 80%. So you start at 20%, and then you build up by 10 up to 80. Okay. And here's the thing. The main thing that makes people so upset in this unit is they're forced to ult. See, not many people mind the idea of like, okay, if he did ult, he leaves at first. But now it's like, okay, now this is even worse because you're forced to ult at some point. And on top of that, it's not even the craziest ultimate dump either. I mean, yeah, sure, you have the stun with infinite void, but you have this. Yuji, taijutsu damage. Come on. Our goat red Yuji over here. He can hit 2,100% right here. Some zap. I thought GOJO was the golden boy. This is why we have 6 of them now. So what is going on? It's so crazy to think that we have 6 GOJOs and we waited an entire year to get a new Yuji. This new Yuji is cracked out of the mind. And we get this new GOJO, and I wouldn't say, again, he's not mid. He's still top 10. He's just underwhelming. And he's underwhelming extremely as well, because you gotta think, he's a blue taijutsu unit. Let's just look at blue for a second. Who is he filling in for? Because when you think of blue taijutsu, see, his kit operates as basically a sub DPS because he opens like a door for your teammates to kind of just slam down more damage, like that break damage received increased. And that's kind of what he does. He just increases like the enemy's break damage received. Like he's a sub DPS. He's not the primary DPS. And it shows because his damage multipliers are so low in comparison to all the other anniversary units. Like he has 500%, 550, 550. But then you have other units, again, in the same... See, here's the thing. Apparently this 0.2 GOJO isn't considered an anniversary unit, but he is the end of year unit, so I feel like he should be comparable. Look at Yuta right here. Skill level 10. He does 960%. GOJO does 500. 550. Like, okay. And then we go to Yuji. Skill level 9, by the way. 680.97. Okay. Then we have Todo. I wonder if it's like even, like, is it comparable? Let's see. 591% at skill level 8. And don't even get me started on Sukuna, because it's like, come on. 905 at skill level 8. It's almost embarrassing. Like, again, the unit is still top 10. It's just the fact that the expectations everybody had for this GOJO was the same as the expectations people probably had for him. They expected a new era to come with this. But in the same breath, why would you want a new era so quickly when these guys are just getting started? That's also another thing. Like, the one thing I would think about is that at least for first anniversary or half anniversary for global at least, we only had 2 featured units. So there wasn't a lot to really worry about. Like you could focus all your cubes on him, you could focus all your cubes on him, and it was very reasonable to obtain them. But now we have such a wide variety of very strong units to deal with that have so much util. And it kind of leads, it's like, okay, well, who should I get? Should I get him? Should I get him? Should I get him? Should I get him? And you know, Red Mahito's probably going to come out later this week. Also him as well. And you just got to think. The content that this GOJO is made for has already been beaten. with weaker units. Like, and on top of that, some people were saying in comment sections like, oh yeah, he could be a perfect unit to collaborate with Yuta. In what content? In what content? Like, yeah, like if we're going below floor 81, sure. Like, but that's the thing. I said this multiple times across multiple different videos. You don't need the newest of new units to clear from floor, 80 to below. 80 to below. Like, units that could clear that content. This guy, standard banner unit. This guy, standard banner unit. 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 Phantom Metal Shop unit. Like, Phantom Metal Shop. Standard banner now, currently. Standard banner. Like, standard banner again. This guy's been reran so many times. If you don't have him, I don't get it. Standard banner. Standard banner. Like, come on. There's too many strong options to pick that are just in standard banner alone. Like, this guy, you don't need him to clear out that content. And on top of that, again, yes, you could collaborate him with Yuta on some lower difficulty content. But then what's the point? You're doing lower difficulty content, and if you're already a person who's in floor 81 and above, you've already cleared that lower content in the first place. So you just have that unit just to kind of have him. So, and then on top of that, like, oh, you're going to get Blue Gojo to complement him. Like, in my opinion, the worst Yuji unit in the game, by far. I mean, he's already capable of clearing, with Miguel, these Taijutsu blue stages. The Gojo's not a necessity. And on top of that, people are like, oh, but he can clear very hard sweep, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to be so honest with you guys. When it comes to Phantom Parade content, I can't stand. I can't stand sweep videos, man. Or I just can't stand, like, using sweep as a showcase for characters in general. Because, like, all you really need to get, like, majority of the rewards that you would really need, you don't even need to really clear sweep. All you need is, like, to make it to 7, and I haven't really done this one. I've mainly been doing, what is it? Red and yellow. Because prepare for Mahito and to prepare for Sukuna. I'll be spinning back to blue real soon, because despite all the things I'm saying about Gojo, we're still going to summon on him. Still, sweep isn't really, like, saying that a unit can clear sweep, it doesn't move me. Because this is content that, yes, you can clear once, you can get, like, your 250 cubes, cool, awesome, right? But then what does that say about the unit? Now you got your 250 cubes, or what is it, like, maybe like 1,000 cubes you get or whatever from clearing, like, multiple different parts of the boss. But what does that really say? Because it's not like Cursed Spirit Cleanup Battle is going to be updated super duper duper frequently. But you know what is getting updated frequently? Illusory Tower. The hardest content in the game. Which, again, that's what matters. When a new unit releases, yes, sweep is a cool, mindless way to show what a unit can do. You can just load in and just throw haymakers at a boss all night long. But it doesn't accurately represent what a unit is going to display in the actual hardest content in the game. And on top of that, you can't really use him with the other best blue unit in the hardest content in the game, because he's primarily a Jujutsu unit. So if you were to use both of them on the same team, you wouldn't even be able to get the full benefit of this guy, because you're just going to skill 3 all day and all night long. Now, mind you, you're going to skill 3 all day, all night long, and for some reason, he has a better multiplier than Gojo on that skill. But thankfully in comparison, though, Gojo does have a way higher base stats. Base stats are very important. I was actually kind of concerned that this unit's base stats were going to be really, really low. But thankfully, it is not. But if you guys just want my overall super duper honest opinion, I don't even know if he's worth it for you free-to-play players, guys. Like, the only way I can justify selling this unit to you in my head is if for some ungodly reason you didn't do like the 3 Volume 0 unit, like the big banner that came with Yuta, Miguel, and Ghetto. If you didn't get those guys, I mean, it's kind of weird. These guys are amazing. I mean, Miguel before the SP unlock, easily, in my opinion, the worst SSR the game has ever graced us with. But, well, arguably, I would say arguably, Red Toto still exists. But we just have this issue because we have Blue Taijutsu. You want to know who's in Blue Taijutsu? This guy, he's great. This guy, he can be used. This gal, who I assume majority of y'all don't even have. Her, which, again, I know a lot of you guys have used her for difficult floors where you have to use Blue Taijutsu and you don't have her. But it's like, for the 80s, it's just not going to cut it. Then you have him. And this guy has like the worst reputation known to man. This man's reputation has been body slammed and thrown through the dirt. And on top of that, even then, his SP unlock doesn't even really do much for his damage in the first place. I mean, you do get those increased physical technique and crit, the whole 9 yard, but he's not the greatest unit ever. He's not a unit I would say like, oh yeah, make sure you invest in that Blue Toto. I ain't telling you to invest in that Blue Panda either. And then this guy, I mean, he's, from what I've seen, he's pretty alright. But most people aren't using him to clear like floor 89 or anything. You're basically relying on this guy and this guy. And then you slide in 0.2 Gojo for those two. And then I guess if you want to just bring in Yuta, which that would be your only choice in order to collaborate with these units, is just you can't use ultimate on Yuta. You just have to skill 3 spam, like your life depends on it. And that's it. Leave it at that. So that's my general frustration with 0.2 Gojo, is that everybody expected a lot out of this unit. And I kept hearing it from every corner of the air, from YouTube, from reading chats on Discord, from looking on Twitter, from looking at the Reddit. Everybody was like, 0.2 Gojo's coming. It's about to be peak. And I'm like, y'all genuinely have no idea what that unit's going to look like. And then the unit drops, and everybody's starstruck. Naobito 2.0. Oh, the greatest thing to ever appear. Naobito 2.0 is now in JJK Phantom Parade. Perfection. Like, the way people swapped up on that unit is hilarious. And people aren't even switching up on him because he's basically like a glorified, really strong Naobito 2.0. Everybody's switching up on him because he has the emergency mechanic, which is what I find so hilarious, because I thought that's something we would all expect for him to have, because, you know, he got sealed in the prison realm, even though when he leaves, they don't show him getting sealed in the prison realm. It's something you should have just expected in the first place. So I feel like if you skipped a ton of units in the name of just 0.2 Gojo, let's just say, maybe you learned your lesson. Maybe you realized maybe you shouldn't do that. If you skipped not skip 0.2, but if you skipped Yuta for 0.2, make sure you write your apology form for the GOAT over here, for the blue GOAT. Because as I'm recording this video, I also, that floor 81 clear featuring him should already be released. But I will say this. Should you summon for 0.2 Domain Gojo? For the average player, which I would say the average is like 60 and below. Again, it's a if you want, I guess, but it's not necessary. It's not. He's not necessary. The lower content, he's fine. In higher content, together they're fine. Like, it's kind of like the same thing where I've spoke about with Sukuna and Red Yuji. This guy and this guy, they both have content that is very difficult, but weaker units in the same category as them have already cleared it. That's why I've been telling everybody, okay, make sure you guys prioritize units like Toto. Or make sure you go around and you prioritize... Let's see, can we that's a tier list. But they don't even have the updated tier list. Hold on. Characters. Come on. There we go. Tell you to prioritize him. Because at least Red Jujutsu, as it currently stands, because we don't have Red Jogo, but I wouldn't have summoned on Red Jogo anyway, besides the point. Red Jujutsu is in a questionable spot. I mean, because the strongest guy you have is here. And she's very, very strong, but like once you get to like the Red Jujutsu floors in the 80s, I mean, we're still lacking Rabbit Escape Megami on Global. And the unit that's going to take his place is him, the GOAT, Red Mahito, which you should be investing in. Like, when you guys are investing in these units, you need to invest not in, you know, who is my GOAT, who is my stan. Well, this is my personal opinion, because some of y'all will play these games, these gacha games, and you're like, I just want to get my favorite character. And then when y'all play the game, you're frustrated because you aren't able to clear a ton of content. And it's because you summon with your heart and not your mind. You don't, a lot of people don't use the brain. They don't lock in fully. So I would say this guy, if you don't have this guy or this guy, you shouldn't be summoning for him. And if you have him, you're fine. Dude, you're fine. You don't need him in specific. Now, there may be a time in the future where there may be a relevant piece of content where he could work in, but I feel like they would just have to do a lot of like hoops, jumps, and boundaries to make this guy like a must summon. There is no must summon when it comes to this version of GOJO. That is my opinion. I'd say if you're free to play, you could skip this guy with no problem for the most part if you have Yuta. If for some reason you have the worst blue taijutsu setup known to man, I guess you might as well go for him. I mean, you know, you might as well. Again, he's still a top 10 unit. It's just really disappointing the way he is. So that's my little rant, little tangent done. This video is probably way longer than I initially hoped it to be. But if you made it to this point, thank you for watching. If you like this video, how about you black flash that like button for me? If you want to see more videos like this in the future, let me know in the comments down below, and subscribe, because we can see how many people subscribe off the videos. So yeah, talk to me about Blue GOJO. Are you as upset with Blue GOJO's existence as I am personally? Because I would say I'm a little bit upset. This unit has peeved me off a little bit enough to where we're double uploading today. So let me know. What would you have changed about Blue GOJO? Or do you just accept them as is and you're just going to summon anyway? Do you still, like, some of y'all might still think he's a must summon. On my poll, some of y'all voted that he's a must summon. So I would like to know why in the comments below. Because as it stands, as somebody that's playing the hardest content in the game, from what I've seen and the kit that I'm reading, you don't need him. So, yeah guys, it's been Jay, aka It's Ghost Story. This is Phantom Parade, and I will see you guys later.